You see, my girl not here with me today, Sharita, but I'm sure she'll be in the comments here shortly. Um, but listen, truly glad to be here with you guys again for yet another great conversation to dive deep into some good talk and some raw talk, some deep talk, some good talk. So we're glad that you all are joining in. So if you will, take a moment to hit that like, that share, that subscribe button, tag somebody, send this to somebody, repost it, reshare it on your platform so that people can join in the conversation today. Those that may be watching from YouTube or Facebook or however you're watching, join in. We want to engage in a good conversation with you, as well as we got some I got three guests with me today. Oh my goodness, and we are ready to have some good conversation. So as you're joining, as you're sharing, as you're liking, as you're sharing this with your peoples, that we want to take the moment and go to our news, keeping up with KYHRC. So first, I want to share that we on I said January. I'm putting us back in January already. In May the 12th, we are going to be having a fundraiser, a Taco Tuesdays, sponsored by Kentucky Harm Reduction. And so it'll be at El Nepal, out on Eastern Parkway. The address is 811 Eastern Parkway, Louisville, Kentucky, 40217. And so take your family. We'll be there all day. And if you go and you mention KYHRC, you'll get 20% off of your purchase. And so 20% will go towards a good cause, which is here at Kentucky Harm Reduction, where we do prevention, where we do naloxone distribution, where we do a lot of harm reduction. And so on May the 12th, take your family, y'all go enjoy Taco Tuesdays, go with your coworkers on your lunch break. We want to see you in the building. Also, our next episode will be May 14th. And make sure that you mark your calendars for yet another good conversation. Our episodes are every other Thursday at 1 p.m. Every other Thursday at 1 p.m. You can join us right here at 1 p.m. For a good talk for By Any Means podcast. Also, on Saturday, May 16th from 12 to 4, we will be partnering with Able Kentucky, and some other partners that will be out there at the LaPorte Park in Portland. The address is 2529 Bank Street, Louisville, Kentucky, 40212. There will be food. You know, I'm going to be there for the food. Okay, I don't know what y'all are going to do, but I'm going to be there for the food. But there will be food, there will be music. You'll be able to check your voting rights status. There also, it is kid friendly. There will be face painting there. So come and join out, check out some resources, check out some community partners that are be there with resources, and bring your family, bring your children. Lastly, on Thursday, May 21st, we will be having another kit making party at Louisville Recovery Community Connection, and that address is 1700 South 5th Street, and we'll be there as always from 5:30 to 7. Again, this is a family-oriented event, so you can bring your children, come with your family, as we prepare our outreach packets. We utilize our community to help us to package these kits, so that way we can share with our community. You can come and learn more. If you would like more information, you could always look us up or contact us at www.kyhrc.org, and you can reach out to us and we will respond to you. right away. All righty. All right. Whew, that was a lot. Okay, here we go. So listen, we're back here again at By Any Means podcast, and so this podcast where we confront real issues and with real compassion and real truth. And so today's conversation is one that challenges perspectives. It stretches belief, and if we're honest, it may make some people uncomfortable. And guess what? It's gonna be okay. And so, just a recap: this month, for the month of April, we have been talking and celebrating and discussing inclusion and diversity. And so our first episode, we talked about harm reduction is inclusion. And so it's meeting people where they are. And so making sure that no one is left out. Our second episode, we had a conversation with our good friend Jose Martinez, and we were talking about the implicit biases in outreach and who are we missing? Who is missing at these conversations? Who is missing at the table? And so this week we want to go a little bit deeper, and we want to talk about faith, recovery, and harm reduction, and how do we bridge the divide? Faith, recovery, and harm reduction, and bridging the divide. And so today I got some good friends that are here with us to talk, and I'm gonna bring all of them on. There we go. All right. Welcome everybody. Oh my goodness, my good friends. Listen, I want to welcome Pastor Joy Elliott, Father Charles Myers, and Pastor Justin Blair. Everybody, give a great warm welcome, and by any means, welcome to our guest today. How y'all doing today?
Doing well, man.
Doing good,
Glad to
doing
be
good.
here.
Oh,
Yes,
yes, indeed. So
Absolutely, doing great.
y'all. Oh my goodness, it's a pleasure. Listen, we prayed backstage before we came on. So listen, we're gonna get down into this. All right. So listen, I want you guys to take a couple of moments to introduce yourselves, where your ministry is, and then answer this question: what does faith, recovery, and harm reduction mean to you, and how did it bring you into this work or in this space? You want to start out? We could start off with ladies first. How about that?
Of course you would. Now, what is our question that we need to answer?
Okay.
So I am Joy Elliott. I usually go by Joy. I am, however, a pastor by call, not because I wanted to. I answered the call. And I have been doing this work for over 20 years.
Wow.
I came into this work because I had a brother, a biological brother, that had a battle with crack cocaine. And he was using that drug for 26 years. And I needed to know what I can do to help him, support him, to pull him out of that situation. So I had to learn about it because I didn't have an experience within my own life. I had to learn about it. But one thing I know about faith, it is the substance of things that are hoped for,
Yeah.
but the evidence of things that cannot see. Because I couldn't see my brother clean. But I thank and praise God today, he has 3 years clean. It's
Wow.
been a
Wow.
journey, but God.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what brought me into working with this population.
Wow. 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 That's
Very
good.
cool.
Listen, either one of you can jump right in.
Charles, go for it, brother.
my name is Father Charles Myers, and I am the Associate Dean and Missioner for Outreach and Evangelism here at Christ Church Episcopal Cathedral in Louisville. I've been in this ministry for over 20 years. Um, what got me into this ministry is when my father passed away of HIV and AIDS when I was a young child. My first father figures in my life were in recovery, and they started giving me structures of discipline through the 12 steps. I didn't know they were the 12 steps at the time, but they were giving me this discipline. And so my ministry for the last 20 years has been with our unsheltered friends and neighbors, as well as our friends in recovery. Uh, I had spent time in Los Angeles doing this ministry and 5 years on Skid Row. I was a
Cool.
chaplain at the Los Angeles Mission, which is the third largest mission there. Moved to Orlando, pastored the Episcopal Church of St. John the Baptist, which was the historic civil rights church. Had the longest going NA fellowship in the Orlando and Central Florida area that met at my church. And then I was called here to oversee outreach and evangelism. And so part of my ministry has been as chaplain. Part of my ministry has been on the streets. I've also was a substance abuse counselor in a more secular organization where I did their intensive outreach program 3 days a week, 3 hours a day, and then weekly meeting with folks. So I live and breathe and eat by the 12 steps, use it in my own spiritual direction. And so I'm just happy to be here. Thank you, Ryan, for having me.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, brother.
All right. So, well, my name is Justin Blair, and I'm a bit of a mutt when it comes to my background. Nothing seems to connect as far as like my professions go. So I went to school for mechanical engineering. I was a production manager at GE for a while, and also have lived experience. And so I spent 20 years active in my disease, and so I'm someone with lived experience. I have been in ministry, leadership, public service, and recovery centered work. I've spent, like I said, half my life struggling with addiction. And I stepped into recovery in 2013, and it was through the 12-step programs that I learned the love of God and how personal and powerful that is and can be. And in 2015, I started a recovery ministry as a volunteer at the Crestwood campus of Southeast Christian Church. And in 2016, I was called to full-time ministry, and I started off as a project manager on the missions team. And then in 2017, I was called to Elizabethtown and assisted in the launch of that campus for Southeast Christian Church. And there I spent 7 years serving as the operations pastor. I launched a recovery ministry there as well, called Encounter, that God used to reach hundreds of individuals, that allowed me to work closely with people and families facing crisis, addiction, homelessness, grief, major life transitions. We had all kinds of groups. And then in 2024, I stepped into the role of the quick response officer in Hardin County, implementing their quick response team. And now I serve on the harm reduction team at in Bullitt County, where I will be implementing the QRT here and helping to run the RCC we're in the process of building.
Wow. Y'all got some good stuff going on. That's what that sounds like. So listen, so that is awesome. So all of that background that all three of you have, and even our listeners have some good background to share. And so as we talk today about faith, recovery, and harm reduction, and bridging the divide, because for too long there's been a gap. There's been a gap. There's been a divide between the faith community and harm reduction spaces, if we're going to be honest. On one side, you have faith communities that believe in transformation, believe in healing, and believe in deliverance. Okay, so we can all agree on that. But then there's also on the other side, harm reduction practitioners focused on meeting people where they are without judgment and without conditions. And so the real question is what if these two worlds were never meant to be separate? What if they were never meant to be separate? And so I want to be, I don't like the word devil's advocate, but I want to be an advocate today. And so let's talk about the tension for a second. In many faith spaces, the message has often been just stop, pray harder, have more faith, believe God, trust God. And I grew up in the old time Baptist, Pentecostal, holiness. And so again, I heard those things, but anyone who has walked through addiction or walked alongside someone who has, recovery is not that simple. It's not that simple. And
Right.
so with that being understood, um, uh, there has to be some progress. There have to be some safety matters that are taking place, and so. Um, do you all think that harm reduction is ever viewed as enabling? And how do you respond to that? Do you think that harm reduction is ever viewed as enabling? And how do should we respond to that?
Yeah. Can I go first?
Jump right on in.
I really wanted Justin to go first just because, he didn't answer. But honestly, let me be honest with you. I never believed in harm reduction. I never agreed with it. I was raised heaven or hell. It was black and white. It wasn't no gray area. Now, I believe a lot of people in our community are the same way. It's called ignorance.
Hmm.
Don't know,
Yep.
right? So I tell my brother, hey, you just need to stop. But I'll make sure my mama have a diabetic medicine.
Uh-huh.
I'll make sure
Hmm.
my daddy have his high blood pressure
Yep.
medicine. Until I understand that addiction is a disease
Oh.
and not a choice. Because a long time I believed that my brother chose crack cocaine, but he didn't make that choice. Crack cocaine chose him. Okay, I'm not going to preach, but so I think if we educate more of the community, then we'll be able to stand together, and you'll see that bridge no longer be a bridge, but let me tell you something, it'll be people standing up under it, holding each other up. That's what we need. It's for people to know about it instead of talking about it
Wow.
ignorantly. That's
Hmm.
my 2 cents.
Good, Joy.
Thanks, Justin.
Okay.
Uh, I would say, I agree with Joy. I think harm reduction is often viewed that way, and I'm with Joy. At one point, I understood it as enabling myself because I was ignorant to what it was used for, why we were doing it, and so I understand why people ask this question, especially in faith communities that care deeply about sobriety and life change. But I would make a distinction that enabling helps someone stay trapped, while
Yes.
harm reduction helps someone stay alive and connected.
Okay.
So it's two different things that we're looking at. It's two different perspectives that we're trying to look at this thing called harm reduction. And so I I'm a pastor and also work in harm reduction. And I'm not, so I guess it's important for me to say I'm not blessing addiction when I give someone naloxone or harm reduction supplies. I'm honoring the value of their life. I'm
Absolutely.
saying that they are not beyond help. Their life still matters and there's still hope for them. So from a pastoral perspective, harm reduction does not mean we stop calling people toward life. It means that we are willing to stand close enough to them and help keep them safe as possible while they're still struggling.
Come on with it, Father
Never made
Charles.
me get my organ
Yeah.
out. I grew up in an old Pentecostal church. I mean, I think we also have because the saints in the pews are they're gonna say the Bible.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes when you hear Bible, people who usually quote that don't know what the Bible actually says.
Wow.
That's right.
And
Okay.
so, if we begin with the foundational mission of Jesus in Nazareth, he quotes from Isaiah 61, and he says that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he's anointed me to preach good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to liberate the oppressed, to heal wounded victims, and to declare the year of Jubilee, or the year of God's favor. This is about healing. This is about wholeness. This is about broken hearts being put back together. This is about eyes being opened up. But also, if you read the Gospels, if we walk our people through the text, Jesus, the way he did healing with people was individualized. So you have the person who was born blind in John chapter 9. They have to go wash their eyes in the pool
Come
of
on.
Siloam.
Yeah.
Then you have another person who was born blind. Jesus spits on his hands and lays hands on him and opens his eyes. Now watch the text. The text says in that particular one, he opened his eyes and he saw people as big as trees. So
Right.
Jesus now has to lay hands on him again
Again.
to adjust his vision, which tells me this, that healing and wholeness is individualized, personalized, and is a process. And what people don't really understand, especially in our faith traditions, that your moment of miracle where God moved in your life was birthed out of the prayers of your mama and your grandmama and
Come
family
on here.
praying for you. So that miracle that happens when you hit that rock bottom, and you know that if you keep on doing this, you'll go insane. The meaning of insanity, that I'm powerless against this situation. That moment came off of the back of people's prayers. So it is a process. I also, on the other hand, tell people, especially about recovery and 12 steps, that was birthed out of the church.
Yes,
The
it was.
father of the 12 step, who was not a recovering addict, by the way, was an Episcopal priest by the name of Samuel Schumacher. He was it was at his church at Calvary where Bill W. starts having his process. And he takes his 12 steps from Sam's teachings. And he wanted Sam, hey, give me these 12 steps. And Sam goes, I'm not the recovering addict. You are. You take the principles and you bring them together. So there's always have been a connection between faith and
That's right.
recovery.
That's
Because
right.
they go together.
Yeah.
And so I would say that we need to walk people through the text to talk about healing, to talk about wholeness. Remember, Naaman has to dip 7 times before he's healed. If he would have stopped at 6, talking about harm reduction. If he would have stopped at 6 and 5, he would have never gotten healed. So we need to talk about what is the process of shalom? What is the process of healing? What does that look like for this person? And knowing that, hey, your story of deliverance and your story of recovery may not look like somebody else's journey.
That's right.
You're not the standard. The standard is where they're at and meeting them where they're at. And if we are going to be like Jesus, if we're going to be the hands and feet of Jesus, then we need to do ministry and mission like Jesus. This always says, what do you need? Where are you at? What can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I feed you? How can I heal you? So we need a robust theology and reflection of what healing and wholeness is, meaning that, and I'll just end with this. I say this tongue in cheek in my own ministry when I was on Skid Row. I have a 5-fold ministry. Folks need about 5 exorcisms, 4 inner healings, 3 therapy sessions, 2 fistful of pills, and a 12-step program. And I think we need to have that broad approach, knowing that even when we as faith leaders cannot do, because it's out of our jurisdiction, we need to have the resources to say, hey, I'll pray for you. I'll be in my lane. Are you going to 12 steps? Are you getting the mental health that you need? Are you doing this? I'll do my part, but there's a broadened state, and we need to model that as the church, because in our communities, and I've served most of my ministry in the African American church, we're the gateways
We
as
can
the
tell.
church
Okay.
And if we approve of it,
Definitely
we model
could.
it, folks will be okay to come
Yeah,
in. And so we've got to model this as the faith community that this is part of faith. And I
That's
think
right.
that's where we have to do and walk our people through the text and say, this is biblical. It is the Bible. This is actually what the Bible says. And we need to be present for our brothers and sisters and siblings who are struggling and hurting. And
wow.
so
Oh,
He
listen.
blessed me today.
Y'all got the comment section going. Okay, listen, this is already on fire. All right, so since we talked about, I heard all three of you mention form of healing, form of recovery. There are different forms and ways of it. So let's bring this down to real life. There are people in recovery often carry shame, rejection, spiritual confusion, guilt, remorse. They carry so much. And a lot of it is tied to, and we are talking about faith, a lot of it is tied to lies. And things that are not true that may have been spoken, that we may have seen. And I say we because I was part of part of the community. I have lived experience in this. So some have been told that you can't come here until you're clean. You don't belong here yet, or but the truth of the matter is that no one gets well in isolation. And so harm reduction creates entry points through clean supplies, safe spaces, non-judgmental conversations. And so, and those, even in the small amounts that they may come in the beginning, they build trust. And so, humanizing recovery and utilizing faith, with faith added, what do people who have never experienced addiction misunderstand about recovery?
You want me to start with this one?
Go ahead.
All
Go ahead.
right. So I think that, well, I don't think, I know that many people misunderstand addiction as simply like a lack of willpower or a series of bad decisions or choices that they've made. And I do agree that choice is involved, but addiction is much more complex than that. I wish it was that simple. But it's not. It's recognized by the American Medical Association as a chronic illness for a reason. And those of us with SUD, and I'll just talk about that a little bit so that the listeners understand. But those of us with SUD, like someone like me, we're bodily different than those without. So, in fact, the AMA refers to it as a allergy.
Yeah.
So, and what that means is that there is an abnormal reaction that happened. The effect that drugs and alcohol have on my body is an abnormal reaction to someone who doesn't have an addiction disorder. And so, the abnormal reaction, it creates a different chemical response than someone without SUD. It's no different than me putting on latex gloves with no issue for me versus someone else putting on latex gloves who has a latex allergy. There's an abnormal reaction to their skin when they touch latex. Drugs and alcohol are the same way for someone like me. And that abnormal reaction happens is the effect that dopamine and serotonin, the response that happens in your brain, that's where the abnormal reaction is. And so there's an overload of these chemicals that happen quickly, followed by like a rapid depletion of those chemicals. And while those with SUD experience like a gradual, or without SUD experience like this gradual increase followed by a gradual depletion of those chemicals, mine is the opposite. My dopamine and serotonin levels go out the roof, and then they fall, and I'm like, where's the next drink? Where's the next pill? Where's the next, whatever it is? And so what is interesting about addiction, though, is that we often see it being rooted in pain and trauma and isolation, as Ryan, you alluded to, mental health struggles, family system issues, grief, poverty, homelessness. I believe we see that so much because trauma can deplete those same chemicals in our brain. And so the overload of those chemicals for someone like me creates an immediate sense of relief. So we use because we don't know how to sit with what is happening inside of us.
Right.
It started with a choice, yes, but all my power of choice went away the moment I felt that relief. And people also underestimate, as you were talking about, Ryan, that how much shame is actually involved for us. A lot of people are not using because they're having fun. The fun was gone many years ago, and while that doesn't remove responsibility, it should deepen the compassion of those around them, regardless if they have an SUD or not, because it's not a choice. And Pastor Joy, you alluded to that earlier as well for your brother. It's not you lose the option of choice at some point.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And I'll add with this: I think that shame is one of the loudest voices in addiction.
Oh, for sure.
Shame says, and shame. There's a difference between shame and conviction. Shame says you have failed too many times and that you're not worth fighting for. That's what shame is telling you. And when somebody believes that, they hide, and then that isolation starts, and it grows, and then pain grows because they're alone and they're not in community, and then the addiction will often grow with it. But faith speaks a different word. Faith says, come into the light, shine light on that thing that you're hiding. Because there's grace in that, but there is truth to speak into that, and we can be that help for them when they need it. Recovery requires honesty, like brutal honesty. But shame makes that feel dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? To be that honest. And I think that's the reason why compassion is so important. Compassion creates enough safety for truth to be spoken and healing to begin.
Wow. That's good. Anybody want to add to that? Because that was good.
I mean, he answered the question. Let's be real clear. He answered the question. I would want to piggyback off of what he said. When we were growing up in school, the teacher always asked us one question: what do you want to be when you grow up? Nobody in my class said I want to be a heroin addict.
That's right.
Nobody in my class said I want to be addicted to crack cocaine. Nobody wanted that.
No.
But I think we missed that. Nobody desires to be that. You see what I'm saying? So then when that happens, because now I've got some years in, now I need to understand what happened. Where's that 3-year-old little boy? Where's that 10-year-old little boy? Where did this start? Because when you were in first grade, you didn't scream, I want to be a heroin addict.
That's
You
right.
didn't scream that. So I think we just need to get to the root of it, because it becomes a cope. Because I want to numb some feelings. Because I want to numb the fact that dad did me like this. Because I feel abandoned. Because this girl hurt me. Or because I was touched inappropriately. Or any of that. Any of those situations. Any of those scenarios could have happened. That trauma is there. And guess what? We can escape it once we use.
Wow. Go ahead, Father John.
And let's connect this. There's a great book called "Healing the Shame That Binds Us" by John Bradshaw. John Bradshaw is a recovering alcoholic. He integrates his spirituality and psychology, and this kind of goes into my own connection with recovery. In that particular book, he says something. He says that the drug addict and the religious fanatic are the same person.
That's it.
And he says because they hide behind their shame, and then he equates it to the prodigal son. The older brother and the younger brother were the same. because they're hiding behind religion, uh, uh, and they hide behind addiction. And so when I was growing up, I was the younger brother, but more like the older brother who stayed in the church. And my brother had his time of partying, and I realized that my brother and I were the same person. We were dealing with the shame of what we grew up with the death of our father. We were dealing with this shame. And a lot of times, I think what scares the faith community about the recovery community is the radical honesty. Because if I'm dealing with my own shame with whatever addiction, and I brought an addiction, the substance use is just the symptoms of the greater issues that Justin
Right.
brought out, systemic and individual.
Right.
And when we are confronted in the faith community, I'm going to tell a story. I'm about to use a word. It's not a church word, but y'all just bear with me.
Okay.
So when I was at my previous church, we had the longest running NA fellowship in Orange County in Orlando, Florida. The thing that touched me the most, my office was right across from the parish hall where the meeting was held. And as they're closing the doors, I heard someone say, I almost fucked up this week because I've had a fucked up week. And if it wasn't for God, I would have used. It touched me because I wish the faith community could have a radical honesty about brokenness and shame that
Yeah.
recovery has.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's where the faith community gets scared of recovery, because we now have to deal with our own addictions. We have to deal with our own shame. And we've got a mirror looking at us that I can't say that's them.
That's right.
It's we.
That's right.
And so this is where I think recovery within our churches, I think the first thing for churches to do to get involved with recovery, just host a 12-step at your church. So you are now putting a face, you're humanizing. I think somebody said in the comments about humanization, you're humanizing the quote unquote addict. And then when you see the humanity in them, you begin to see the addiction in you.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I think that's where, and especially as people of faith, we talk about how God in Jesus Christ takes on our shame.
That's it.
Takes on public shame at the cross.
Yeah.
But Jesus doesn't stay in that shame, because the rest of the story is God raises him up.
Yeah.
God vindicates him.
That's it.
So there is this sense that we don't have to stay in our shame. We have to face our shame, but we don't have to have the face of shame.
That's right. Yep.
Now that's it.
And so what community does for us, and recovery does for us, and redemption does for us, it allows us to take off the mask
That's it.
and say, this is who I am. Not my title, not what I do. And then in that shame, we say, I am not my shame.
That's it.
It's not my identity. And you need structures to form identity. And this is why 12 steps are so important. It gives you the structure to form your identity. When the structures of faith communities help form identities. Now we've got to ask the question, what kind of God are we forming people in? A God of judgment or a God of love? And what kind of community are we? That are we going to double the shame that people feels? Or are we going to say, hey, this is a sacred place and a safe space. Let your mask down, I'm going to let mine down. And we're in this together.
Absolutely.
So
Can I just piggyback? Just give me 2 seconds. Father been going hard. Let me tell you this. But I say that all the time. In the church world, we put all of our issues in a closet. But then when you come to the altar, we want to put that on the radio. One time, I would love for a prophetess to say, hey, I used to be a prostitute, but God. I would love for somebody, one of the deacons, to say, "Hey, I used to sell dope, but God." You see what I'm saying? Until we show transparency behind the podium, you ain't gonna see no transparency in the pews. That's it.
100%. 100%.
And those that may not know, I am, a member, and I definitely am an elder in the Lord's church. And some people say, how can you stand up and preach in front of people, and you have a background like that? That gives me even a stronger, more, even stronger voice to speak.
I agree. I agree.
Because I'm coming from the lived experience, and I'm coming from the redemptive side of it, and I don't have to go and do all the, have everything on Jump Street about what took place, because guess what? I'm out of it now. But now that I'm, and I think Pastor Justin said it earlier, walking in the light, and that's one of my favorite songs. Walk in the light, the beautiful light, the light that shines down from heaven above. Listen, if we have been chosen, if we have been proclaimed and confess Him, that means that He's in us. But now that He's in us, what's in us has got to shine out of us. My grandmother would sing a song, "Something on the inside is working on the
Going on the
outside."
outside.
And it brought about a change in my life.
In my
So there
life.
has to be something that is stirred up on the inside. So listen, we got to move on, because listen, we can get stirred up real quickly. Okay, listen. So bridging. I want to bridge here because we don't have too much longer, and we can talk. This is going so good. We can talk for hours, but I want to bridge this. So bridging faith, recovery, and harm reduction. So how do we bridge? How do we bridge? One of the things that and that it starts with is it's a start in a mindset shift. And so we got to go from control to compassion. We got to go from judgment to understanding, from perfection to progress, from exclusion to invitation. And so putting those together, and how do we bridge that? What does it actually look like when faith and harm reduction come together? And so, my question to you all is, what would be two first steps a church or a faith leader can take to become more welcoming to people who use drugs without causing harm? Two steps that
I
we can.
believe one of my brothers said it earlier. Invite them in. Invite in a 12 step. Invite them in. I I currently work with incarcerated individuals, and the first thing that I told all of my coworkers, even when I was supervising drug court, you need to know the 12 steps, whether you are in recovery, if you're walking through recovery, if you're walking past recovery, you need to know the 12 step, not because of what you are or who you are, but because those principles, those morals, I mean, you need them every day. I'm a 100%. So learn the 12 steps. Invite the 12 steps into your church house.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, it's not even about, okay, well, oh, I'm on step one. Because I do believe that if you don't do step four, you're going to pick up a fifth. I do believe that. I believe that for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
what I do know is once you learn the 12 steps, you're able to help somebody. And Ryan, you said earlier about how can you have a past that you have and talk the way you talk. You got to have a test in order for you to have a testimony.
That's right.
So maybe keep on walking in what God has for you. And obviously they ain't doing what they supposed to do.
Mighty God. Mighty
Yes,
God.
invite them in. That invitation needs to be spread it abroad. Find out what it is. Get educated. Step two, get educated. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm done.
I agree, Joy. The first thing that came to my mind was education. Faith leaders need to understand substance use and all aspects of it. and facets of it. Like, why do people respond the way they do? What's actually going on in their bodies? And then educate yourself on overdose risk, trauma, harm reduction. Like, why do we do harm reduction? Like, don't just fight it. Ask the questions. Like, find out for yourself. Why do we do harm reduction? What are the benefits of it? And do, because if I, before I was educated in it, I had a very narrow mindset about harm reduction, and it wasn't until I learned why we do it that it made sense to me. Learn about recovery pathways in your area. What groups are available? What treatment facilities are around? How can you support somebody who is going through it? How can you support their family of someone who is struggling with SUD? Because I'm going to tell you right now from my own experience, I made my family just as sick as I was.
Yeah.
You know, and they need support because they're frustrated and they don't understand what's going on inside of that person. They feel like that they aren't loved enough for that person to quit, and that has nothing to do with it. I loved my family dearly, more than I loved myself, and I still couldn't stop doing it. So it had nothing to do with them, though. It was Justin was the problem. There was something going on with Justin that I had to address. I think another one is language.
Yes.
You know, like the way we talk from the pulpit, the way we talk in small groups and private conversations, all those things matter. People can tell very quickly whether they are safe or whether they are a sermon illustration. Right? And I think, and the last one, and I'll shut up with this one, is just practical readiness. Like, again, know where your local treatment facilities are. Know who to call. Build relationships. Have peer support specialists around. Get to know, meet with your health departments, your shelters, the recovery organizations. Be ready when a crisis happens in your congregation, because it will. Addiction affects almost every person that I've ever met in some way, shape, or form, either with someone they loved or a parent or whatever. And I think that doing that also shows that the compassion that you're having for the people that are struggling, being prepared, it makes it more credible. You know, it means that I'm going to get ahead of this thing so that I can be there for you if it happens or when it happens.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I would just ditto all of the above. I think the other thing is we have to not only educate about addiction and substance use disorder, but also kind of bring it home to people who maybe not have an addiction, you know, of that type, and talk about, to ground it in the Bible. Because of, yes, churches and religions-based programs should be willing to receive, yes, critique from the community. You're exactly
Absolutely.
right, Jose. And I think we have to have not only the education, but the thing that really transformed me is when I did a year and a half as a substance use disorder counselor. Because I was always a chaplain on the spiritual side, and I knew, but I learned about harm reduction. I learned about all of these things. And then I had people who would come in, especially in my group of intensive outpatient, who came from a faith background. And now they're asking about these questions. And, you know, some people were, didn't want to do any harm reduction disorder like Suboxone or anything like that. And others were for it. And I would use, Pastor Joy, hey, you take medicine for other things. This isn't medicine. That medicine can be just as addictive as other things. And so we need to humanize it. We don't need to demonize it. Neither do we need to deify it. And what I mean by that is the as Pastor Justin said, the illustration. Because when you kind of, ooh, and we need to have people, if people are going to give their testimonies in church of recovery, We need to have a variety of testimonies from different places and spaces so
Agreed.
that we give our church that this is how God is working in a varieties of human experience, because this is their story. And one of the things that I'm very happy as the associate dean here at the cathedral. And for people who don't know that knowledge, that just means I'm the associate pastor here at the cathedral. Uh, uh, our cathedral, we Athena comes to our church. Athena brings us all kinds of things. Oh, y'all need a refill? Yes, because where we're at on Second Street in Louisville, and if we have our doors open, we have people who come in. And just the other day, the fire alarm went off right in the middle of noonday mass of 12 o'clock mass. Fire alarm goes off. We go. Somebody is in our restroom getting ready to shoot up, smoking a blunt.
Ooh, Jesus.
And so we need to have the preparations of emergencies to make sure so nobody does it. We also need to have the care and the compassion on dealing. Also, churches, how do you set boundaries? How do you set boundaries with people? You have some churches that want to push everybody out. You have some people who are, kind of romanticize. That's what I mean by deify, romanticize. Oh, the poor or the addict. I'm like, no, baby. Sometimes you got to do some tough love. You got to set boundaries. And so having that education. So we need to take this discussion and sit at churches and have it.
That's right.
Sit this discussion
Absolutely.
and come together and have churches to host these discussions and bring this together. And so I'm just happy to be here, and I can't wait to get y'all's contact information to learn from y'all. We want some one-on-one discussions.
Yes, it is. Listen, they have in the comment section. They y'all don't know, all three of y'all then got speaking engagements and everything. Listen, so, the guy that I was telling y'all about in June, that's Jose Martinez. He already said he needs y'all, so I'll be sharing y'all information with him. Okay, so listen. They done asked for a part two of this. Somebody that asked for a live version of this.
Yes.
So listen, we done started something. You hear? So
Good.
listen, we're down to the last few minutes. So this has been a great conversation. So putting faith in action. So churches being able to partner with outreach programs. Y'all call us up. Kentucky Harm Reduction and all of the coalitions, all of you name it. If you reach out to us, we'll connect somehow. You will connect you with somebody. If faith leaders being trained in addiction science. Listen, we offer. I am the trainer for Kentucky Harm Reduction. So I will come and train your team, your ministry staff, your usher board. I'll come and train your ministry. Recovery spaces that include spiritual support without pressure. And then being prayed for, people being prayed for and provided with resources. And so it shows that we see you, we care about you, and that you matter. One thing I want to do is we like to do a round robin. So you got 30 seconds to answer your question, okay?
Okay.
Father Charles, we're going to start with you. Can someone still be in their addiction and still be spiritually connected?
Absolutely. I will say this. When I was working on Skid Row, I got more words from God from somebody who was in their addiction or halfway drunk than I did in the church.
Wow.
Because let me tell you something, because what people don't understand is that substance use disorder is a way of trying to spiritually connect with something beyond yourself.
That's right.
And hacking, it's a hack, but it is a way.
Wow.
And God's gifts are without repentance.
Repentance.
Wow.
And I would just end. I would just end with this. I would tell. So when I would teach my classes as a substance use disorder counselor, I'd say, look, listen, I need y'all to start your own business because you are entrepreneurs. The gift is the same. The way you use the gift is differently. And so what we don't understand is that folks who are on the streets, The words of the prophets are written on the subway wall, as the old song says.
Yeah.
If we want to hear the word of the Lord, sometimes we got to leave the building and go to the streets and be able to handle what the culture is saying to us, what the person on the street is saying to us, and it is and the unvarnished truth of that, and say, hey, I am going to hear the word of the Lord not only in the steeple, but I'm going to go out to the streets and hear that word of the Lord too, and be able to walk in that conviction and say, this is where we as the church need to change in order that we can bring and be a part of the kingdom and mission of God.
Oh my goodness. Pastor Justin,
Mm-hmm.
do you think the church has done more harm or more help when it comes to addiction?
Ooh. Yeah, I think the honest answer is both. I think the church has helped many people find freedom, recovery, community, forgiveness, new life. There are people alive today because a church, a pastor, a small group, or a believer refused to give up on them. I believe that. But the church has also caused harm when it responds to addiction with shame and gossip and oversimplified answers or excluding them from the congregation altogether. And we need to be honest about that. And I'll just say from my own experience, I had 250, 300 people that came every Wednesday night to Encounter. And they came on Sunday as well. And we had a smoking section outside, and smoke rolling out the front of the building. And in the first couple of years, I can't tell you how many times I had discussions with other congregation members who were like, "How long are we going to let them sit out there and smoke?" Our worship center smells like an ashtray. Like
Until
all
they
these
get delivered.
comments, and I'm like, how long are we going to let people judge? They're right where they need to be. They are exactly where they need to be. They need Jesus. Jesus himself said, I did not come for those who are not sick. I came for those who are sick and need a doctor.
Yeah.
Right? So, and the truth is, we're all sick. Every single one of us. Right? Jesus wouldn't have had to do what he did if one of us could do it right. So we all have our things. So that, I think that's the honest answer. I do not think the answer is to abandon the church's role. I think the answer is repentance, it's education, it's humility. It is a deeper commitment to loving people the way that Jesus loved people.
Pastor Joy, what does
Else do
accountability?
they say?
Look, that's why I just went. I couldn't even edit and put a segue in there. It's just wow. Okay, what does accountability look like without condemnation?
First of all, let's get back to what my brothers have said throughout this whole conversation. Jesus, where did he hang at? Jesus wasn't always in the synagogue. He wasn't around the people who were quote unquote saved. He had to make it a wedding. And the truth of the matter, they had been partying for several days before the wine even ran out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me them folk when they were saved like that. And you done get, because after 7, 8 days, you drunk. You know what
Uh,
I'm saying? So where did Jesus hang out? The woman at the well. I mean, so many
Yeah,
instances. Jesus was not just inside the church. He went outside the four walls.
that's right.
So it starts with the man in the mirror. If you can look at yourself and you tell yourself that you perfect in your own eye, do you hear me? I wish we could see how Jesus see us. Because we all are some damaged goods.
wow.
But only when we allow Jesus to come in does he change us.
Wow.
He's the only one that can take your dirty soul and dip it in red blood and make you white as snow. He's the only one that can do it.
Watch your
With
voice.
my dirty self, sitting up in a high seat like I got it all together. No, absolutely not. We all have sinned and come short of the glory of God.
That's right.
So it starts with us getting ourselves together. See, if I can't condemn you, because I know I'm condemned.
That's right.
And that's all I got about to say about that. But no accountability is a liability. So we
Wow.
all got to work on each other.
Yeah, it's truth inside of a relationship of love.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Put a little love on it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Guess what?
Huh.
Them bills come in that mail every month.
Every month.
Every month. I don't care how he throw it in the box. I still got to pay it.
Yeah.
So I don't want us to get caught up into how somebody give it to me. Because guess what? As long as you give it to me,
Ooh.
brother, I accept it. And as long as you give it to me, you done plant it. The Bible says some come to plant, some come to water. Never mind.
Listen, y'all.
Y'all done stirred me up.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Listen. We are out of time. Y'all come in. I'm not even gonna ask y'all. I'm just telling y'all. And the people in the comment section are telling y'all that y'all are coming back and we gonna do this in person. And I think I need a finder's fee from all three of y'all because y'all now got engagements on. Oh my goodness. Listen, as we close, bridging the gap, man, through harm reduction and faith. Listen, y'all have shared some great information, some good nuggets. This has been absolutely amazing. I truly thank you, Pastor Justin, Father Charles, Pastor Joy. And listen, y'all know y'all always got a seat here at By Any Means. Listen, I'm gonna put y'all in the backstage. Y'all stay on, so we could chat a little bit more. Listen, but I thank y'all. Come on, By Any Means, y'all give some love to Pastor Justin, Father Charles, and Pastor Joy. Y'all stay in the background for me. Whoa. All right. Now, I think I don't even got my church fan with me. Good gracious, because this was on fire. This was absolutely, truly amazing. Listen, I truly thank y'all for showing up, for joining us. Listen, By Any Means comes on every other Thursday at 1 p.m. So check us out. Like and share this video, send this to somebody. But listen, as we close, bridging the divide isn't about choosing sides. It's about building bridges. And so it's about recognizing that harm reduction saves lives and faith restores hope. So listen, when we bring those two together, you don't just help people survive, but yet you help them believe again. So wherever you are today, whether you're in recovery, whether you're in ministry, or whether you're just trying to understand, here's the charge. Lead with compassion, listen without judgment, and meet people exactly where they are. Because real change doesn't start with rejection, it starts with love. Listen, if this episode has impacted you, share this. Put your comments in the comment section. We already see that there's some connection going on in the comment section. Listen, we want to thank you for joining By Any Means podcast. I am your host, Ryan Jones. My co-host, she's in the comment section, Sharita. Listen, until next time, stay compassionate, stay real, and remember, we reach people by any means necessary. Until next time, May the 14th, 1 p.m. Meet us back. Talk to you later.